John Hook's Newsmaker Saturday starts now.
Thanks for joining us. This week on Newsmaker Saturday, in the history of criminology, aside from fingerprint technology, there's been no greater development in solving crimes than DNA. And now that technology has expanded with the use of forensic genealogy. The marriage of DNA using public genealogy databases to identify criminals by identifying their relatives and then closing the circle and coming up with a suspect. Our guest is a pioneer in this discipline, and she has solved murders, she's revealed identities of murder victims, and unraveled countless mysteries. Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick is my guest on Newsmaker Saturday. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Okay, Colleen, you're sitting on an airplane and somebody sitting next to you says, "Oh, hi, what do you do for a living?" How would you explain it?
I say that's a really tricky question. I get that at cocktail parties too. I say I work cold case homicides for the police and sexual assaults and unidentified human remains using genealogy. I say I am the person that first pioneered that about 10 years ago.
You did, and I think your first foray into this was kind of finding, what would you say, missing persons?
Well, it depends on how you really count, because my first foray was in 2011 on the Sarah Yarborough case. I was using only Y DNA at the time because that's, what was available. The databases were large enough. I had software that could do all that.
Now, Y DNA, or Y, is male, right?
Correct. And so I used it to try and predict the last name for the assailant for Sarah Yarborough's killer. And that's a very interesting story because I came up with the name Fuller, and the genealogist I was matching all traced their ancestry to a Robert Fuller in Massachusetts in the 1600s. So we had a possible name for our killer, and we had his genealogy back 400 years, and 300 years, 400 years, and we still didn't know who he was. Now, 10 years ago, that was kind of weird, but right now, it's not so weird.
You also identified a child.
A
child who perished on the Titanic?
Yeah, well, actually, yes, I did. Now, going back, that was 2008. I worked with the Armed Forces DNA Lab on identifying the Titanic baby. Even before that, though, the case before that was Northwest Flight 4422. I worked with the Armed Forces DNA Lab to identify the frozen hand and arm that was found in the glacier in the wreck of the crash of a military charter flight in 1948. Two pilots had found remains at the scene in the late 1990s, and they had spent almost 10 years trying to find out whose remains that was a frozen arm and hand belonged to, and that was my first forensic case back in 2008, but it really didn't use genealogy per se. It was a one-to-one match. They had DNA from the hand, and I traced the family. It was genealogy, but we didn't use Y DNA or databases. We pretty much did the DNA within the legal system.
Okay, if you were going to explain this, when you get DNA from a suspect, let's say, and that person is not in CODIS, which is the database, the DNA database for inmates or people who've been convicted of crimes, you don't have that. They're not in the database. So how do you go about running it up against genetic genealogy that's out there and known? Either it's not 23andMe because they don't do it, right? How do you do it and close the circle?
Well, it's very similar to what somebody would do with an adoption search. We don't use 23andMe. We don't use Ancestry. We stay away from that. I want to make that clear. We use GEDmatch, which is a third party, no testing. All it is a database with some tools. And also family tree DNA databases. That's the only two that we're allowed to use. So, but let me put it in the context of an adoption search. If I was an adoptee, I would sign up for Ancestry. I'd get a kit. I'd spit in a little cup. I'd send it in, and they would take my DNA and analyze it for what we call a marker called SNPs. They're really like points all over the genome. And they would analyze my DNA for about 600,000 of these points. And then they throw my points into their big supercomputer, and they would find out how many of these points, therefore how much DNA I shared with everyone else in their database. They have about 30 million people now. And then sometime later, when they were done, they'd notify me my results were ready. I'd go to log in, I'd go to my results, and I'd see a list of people we call my DNA cousins. And these are people that share certain amounts of DNA with me. So there might be a first cousin, if I'm lucky, a couple of second cousins, an aunt, great aunt, a mix. Now, if I'm an adoptee, I don't know who these people are, but I find out. And then what happens is, because they're all related to me, they're all related to each other. So that means that, they have to be sort of self-consistently related to each other. So the genealogist that's involved would take all these people and kind of rearrange them in a kind of a Sudoku puzzle so that everything's consistent, horizontally, diagonally, everything's just fine. They're all related to each other in the way they're supposed to be. And the one point missing through that whole network is me. And that's how I can figure out who I am. That's the short version of what we do.
That is so interesting. So then at that point, you've got to start getting into the investigative part of questioning these people and asking them, okay, who was your father? Who was or some of that may even show up. But you start to close the circle and you can start to work back and find out who your parents were, right?
Yeah, let me say, there's another way to say it, that first of all, when you do adoption searches, you can or you may be able to contact these matches. When we do forensic work, we don't normally contact anybody unless we discuss it with the agency. I mean, distant relatives, it's not a problem. But once we get closer, we don't contact anybody. The agency takes care of that kind of thing. So let me say it a different way, how that Sudoku puzzle works. It's not that hard to understand. What happens is you see a list of people, you don't know who they are. We use public records, we use other family trees that are out there on the internet, and we figure out who these people are. We figure out by their email address, for example, how old they are and where they live. Then once we know that, we start building their family trees. So let's say in an easy case, we have 20 matches that we think are worth pursuing. They're close enough. Their second cousins are closer. So we build these 20 family trees, and surprise, surprise, they're going to start to connect with each other because these people are related to each other. So we build and build, and pretty soon, in an ideal case, we'll have 10 people that are connecting through a common family tree, and we'll have another 10 that are connected through a common family tree, through common ancestors, but the two groups don't connect with each other. And these represent the two family trees of mom and dad. So at that point, we find somebody in one tree that's married to somebody in the other tree, and those must be the parents.
There you go.
And one of their children is who we're looking for, because one of those children, all the children, match both of those groups.
Yes.
All the matches, that's how it works.
Got it. Okay, so let's take it into the criminal realm here. Brian Patrick Miller, known as the Canal Killer. These were two horrific murders committed in 1992 of Angela Brasso. She was beheaded. And then Melanie Burness, who I covered in 1993, who was out riding her bike. She was a junior in high school, went for a bike ride along the canal near Metro Center, and vanished. Well, she was found. She was killed and murdered. Then they come up with Brian Patrick Miller. You got involved in that case and kind of sealed it. Can you just give me the long and short of how you did that?
It's actually quite simple. At that time, we were only using Y DNA. We weren't into ancestry SNPs, GEDmatch. That was still 3 years in the future. Until that point, genealogists were mainly using the Y DNA, which is the male DNA, which goes along with the family name. So I was in Phoenix for the International Symposium on Human Identification, And I went over to the Phoenix Police Department to tell them my idea about using Y-DNA. In other words, taking their profile from the crime scene and matching it to the Y-DNA genetic genealogy databases and trying to come up with a last name. A match to those databases would indicate a last name like the Fuller name did. They took me up on it, and I came up with 6 matches to the name Miller. I handed that to them, and that one word, Miller, was enough to solve the case. There was told at one point there were 2,000 people in their case file, and that narrowed it down to just 5 Millers. And of those, Brian Patrick Miller was, an obvious suspect. He fit a lot of the criteria that they had developed. And of course, they collected his DNA, they matched it to the crime scene, and he was arrested, and now he's on trial.
Now, typically in those kind of cases, they get DNA from the suspect off a cup, a cigarette butt, something where they've got a pure sample from that person. They can pull it and then run it against what you already have that was collected at the crime scene, and then you've got it, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's what happened, basically, same thing. And the reason that works was that the genealogy DNA world used the same markers as the forensic people did. So it was pretty much a one-to-one comparison. I didn't have to do anything to the data other than sort of minor adjustments. You can just do that comparison directly.
Colleen, this is such a powerful tool now. Why do we even have any serial killers left? Why can't we run DNA from a crime scene and start figuring out who this person is before they can kill a lot of people?
Well, there's a number of reasons that have to do with privacy. This is an emerging field. There's emerging policies. So we want to be careful. You just don't want to go out. And first of all, there's also financial concern, that it costs something to do this. And if you can do it in-house and you can do CODIS right away, do that first. Now, let's say this, any new innovation, you have these early adopters, and it's a risk versus benefit. The early adopters see the benefit. They've been working on this. They're willing to devote the money, whatever it costs, and they go ahead with it. And, most agencies are a little bit more cautious. This is a new thing. We don't want to spend the money. Suppose it doesn't work. We don't know the success rate. So they hold off. But once those success stories start rolling in, people become more adapted to it and are more willing to accept it. Now, in the world we live in right now, where we're at, is that you really have to stay in-house with CODIS first. And if that doesn't work, then you can go to genealogy. It's labor intensive, it does take time. It's not just a whiz bang, snap my fingers and there's the answer. It can take, some resources. So if you can just go ahead and do it in-house, do CODIS, maybe you should do that first, and then if it doesn't work, then you go to forensic genealogy.
Before we take a break, we're going to get to the Idaho case of Brian Kohberger, because that's the latest where this technology has been used, using a DNA profile and working the family genealogy and trying to come up with a suspect. I want to ask you quickly, though, about JonBenet Ramsey. This is, again, one of the most vexing cases we've seen going back to the early 90s. Do you believe that this technology, family genealogy and DNA, there was some DNA collected at the scene, do you think this might bear fruit in identifying finally once and for all who killed JonBenet Ramsey?
Well, let me tell you some of the practicalities. I can't answer the question. First of all, the whole scene is contaminated by her family DNA, her mom, her dad, her brother. That's all over the place. So are they involved or not? That has been controversy for years. If they were, their DNA's there anyway. You can't really, say anything one way or the other. The other problem is, the DNA survives. Like, they had DNA off her panties, which is, really exciting. But I understand maybe it was Asian DNA. Maybe they can trace it back to the manufacturer and the packaging facility. That happens. DNA can survive really unusual circumstances. DNA survives the laundry sometimes, even though these were new panties, of course. So even if their DNA is there may be another explanation, a reasonable explanation. So just because there's DNA, I don't know. The only place I can think of that would really yield any information would be DNA from the center of the knot of the rope that was used
The ligature.
to garrote her or
Yes.
garrote her.
Yes.
Yeah, the ligature, I think that would be the only place, in my opinion, just from an outsider's point of view, that where DNA could be obtained that could do any benefit to the case.
Well, as you know, John Ramsey, her father, is pushing very hard to get this stuff tested. There's kind of become a shift in that case where the suspicion toward the family has abated, and people are starting to really think this may have been a stranger or somebody entering that house who did this.
Well, I can't say. I don't know. There is a shift in paradigm. John has been out there speaking with it. I mean, we love to work with him on the case. Again, these are all opinions. John is out there. Maybe she's trying to shift the focus away from himself. I don't know. Maybe nobody knows. We really don't know. And all we have is, discussions and people rendering their opinions. And lots of people would like to solve the case. If he's completely free, of course, I'd love to exonerate him. I'd love to work on that case for no reason. The publicity's great and everything, but I just plain like to solve the case.
Yeah, I can see that. I know it's your passion. We're joined this week on Newsmaker Saturday by genetic genealogist Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick. She's been a pioneer in this entire field. When we come back, we'll talk about the case that's top of mind for everybody right now, which is this Idaho murder suspect, Bryan Kohberger, behind bars after DNA from the crime scene was linked to DNA in the trash found at his parents' home, and they came up with Bryan Kohberger. We're back in a moment on Newsmaker Saturday. Back on Newsmaker Saturday with Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, who is an expert in genetic genealogy. She really pioneered this whole science. It's amazing. Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger, behind bars after DNA from the crime scene was linked to DNA in trash from his parents' house. Colleen, can you tell me how that kind of worked?
Well, they had developed Bryan Kohberger as a suspect, so they had to somehow obtain his DNA. Now, why they didn't, pull some trash at his dorm or, a cup he discarded, I really don't know. It could be that, they were just afraid it'd be contaminated with other people's DNA, around where he lived. I don't know. But another way you can do this is familial matching. So what my feeling is that they probably thought it was a better bet to go collect trash from his father or his mother back in Pennsylvania, because maybe he hadn't arrived there yet and his DNA would not be in there contaminating everything. Maybe they thought they could get a pure sample. Now, if they took Dad, they could also not only get the CODIS profile from Dad, but familial searching, when you have males, also allows you to use the Y DNA to check the last name. So quite likely, they saw that whoever put the trash out was the father of the person who committed that crime and left the DNA at the crime scene, because there was a familial match and also the Y DNA profile matched.
Got it. Okay, so the sample, as we understand it, from Bryan Kohberger, the suspect, was on a knife sheath button, a silver button that had his DNA on it. Touch DNA, we would expect, right? I guess it could have been blood. We don't know. But they got something.
I think it was his. Yeah, I think what happened is that before anything, before he went over there in preparation or at some point, that knife was his. He was touching it, using it, whatever. And of course, he had to put the knife in the sheath and clip it before he went over there, I would imagine. And so he was touching all of that, and that he may have wore surgical gloves at the crime scene, but he had already touched the knife without the surgical gloves.
Got it. Okay.
So when the police saw the knife, they said the best place is the clip, because that's where whoever did it would have clipped the knife into the sheath.
Colleen, DNA testing now has become so sensitive, and you alluded to it earlier in the JonBenet Ramsey case, that you might pick up stuff that I call stray DNA. I don't know if that's the proper term, but it's DNA that's on an object that may not be put there by the perpetrator. How much does that complicate as the aperture is opened and we're seeing more DNA on objects, even from touching it? that you start picking up stuff from people who have nothing to do with the crime.
That is a problem. It's, very sensitive technique. And right now, as far as CODIS goes, there are all kinds of algorithms and ways of deconvolving mixtures, and handling that contamination. I don't know the lower limits on that, but CODIS has been around for 30 years. It's been really, really worked on. Now, in terms of genealogy, that's where we're at. We're trying to understand mixtures. We're trying to understand how we do more and more with less and less, and yet we're still dealing with mixtures. Right now, we can only do mixtures if the perpetrator is the major contributor and a clear major contributor, and there's only two people involved, a major and a minor. If the victim is the major, we can't do it right now. Or if there's a third component in there, we can't do it right now. That is a problem, and that's one reason why they probably focused on that snap, because the only person that would have messed with that would have been the killer.
Okay, and so this is something that I was thinking about in that case. In the Idaho case, you've got 4 people murdered with a knife. Obviously, we believe the same knife, the same murder weapon, which was missing. Now you've got DNA of 4 people and maybe even the perpetrator mixed in on bloody sheets, bloody clothing. How do you sort that out?
It's difficult, of course. You brought up a very common problem. But let me say this, there's in 99 out of 100 stabbings, the killer will injure himself while he's stabbing somebody else. So it's not uncommon. In fact, it's very common for somebody who commits a crime like this to leave his blood at the scene of the crime. How do you separate that out? Well, suppose he cuts himself and he drifts all the way to the front door or the back door. You can say it wasn't the victim. They're in the room and they were killed and it's a terrible scene. But how did that blood get all the way to the front door?
Now we're talking O.J. Simpson.
What's this?
Now we're talking O.J. Simpson. That's about the scenario you just laid out.
Yeah, it happens. That's what happens. And, you look for places where the killer could have touched. Now, a light switch is a possibility, but that might be contaminated because all the people are using that light switch. Maybe if he washed his hands in the sink, there may be his blood in the sink, maybe on the faucet of the sink. You don't know. This is a common problem, but what you do is you look for places that only the killer would have left DNA, such as the clip on the knife or blood drops going to the front door. And you look for that first. If you can do that, then that's where you get your DNA from.
One more thing before we go. To date, how many crimes do we know of that have been solved with this combination of DNA and familial or genealogy?
Okay, first of all, you don't use familial in terms of genealogy. That is reserved for a CODIS type analysis. We use forensic genetic genealogy, FGG, or genealogy. Now, there was a paper published last year by a woman in Canada, a professor in Canada, that counted 450 cases have been announced. So you can say there's many more that have not been announced that are in those of violent crimes, and I believe also unidentified human remains. Now, there's more than that, really, because sometimes the agency doesn't want to announce anything or hasn't had the chance yet. So, and I also did a calculation. We did an informal survey that there was I took 100 cases out of the news, and we figured out how many of those cases would not have been solved had it not been for genealogy. That is, the perpetrator was one and done and he wasn't in CODIS, or the crimes were committed before CODIS was put into effect in the 90s. The answer to that was a minimum of 37%.
Unbelievable.
So you have 450 out there, and 37% of all the cases with FGG, so far as our survey indicates, would never have been solved otherwise.
Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, an expert in genetic genealogy, thank you so much for being with us on Newsmaker Saturday. And for the people who I know you have given them incredible comfort, solving crimes, identifying victims, thank you for the work you do. We really appreciate your time today.
Okay, my pleasure. Anytime.
Good to see you, Colleen. Thank you.